Have you ever heard of Hillsong Church?
Hillsong is the celebrity church, right?
Bieber, Bono, Vanessa Hudgens, Kevin Durant.
It wasn't just this Australian startup anymore. It was Justin Bieber's church. They've had over 3 billion views on YouTube.
Hillsong changed the way that many of us saw how church could be done.
They're huge now. They're huge.
You can make a real change if you come to Hillsong.
This was going to be a place where I could call my home. But that clearly wasn't the case, and it almost took my life.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time.
When we talk about Carl and purity, how could you shame me when I was so young, but you did this?
It was the most toxic thing I ever had to deal with.
Hey girl. Hi. Sooner or later, God will cut you down.
The beliefs that they put in you go deep. They really get in your head.
This is cool church.
There is a fine line between cult and culture.
They want to spread their tentacles as far as they can.
They really do believe that they need to conquer Earth in order to make heaven on Earth, to essentially bring on the end times.
This is not a moral failure. It's a felonious criminal act.
$78 million in revenue, tax-free.
Manipulation, religious trauma.
Systemic cover-up.
Tremendous power.
Everything in your life is Hillsong. This is not what I thought it was.
Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David, reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the video we just seen regarding that megachurch called Hillsong, and also how Christianity just doesn't have it anymore, right? And this is ultimately what we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, let's read this. This is Jeremiah 23:1. Woe unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, power of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries, whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds. And they shall be fruitful and increase, and I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. You see, this right here, for the most part, is talking about what's going on now in the world, right? How, for the most part, religion, man-made doctrine, which is what pretty much religion is losing its grip upon the masses, especially those of the elect, and also of the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? And why is that? Well, because the Lord is causing this to happen, right? All these scandals that are being exposed, the bones of children who are being found, the sexual scandals that are being exposed, the corruption that is being, whistleblown. All these things are all being done by the Lord, right? Though they may have a physical person who is actually, coming out and reporting this. All those actions, all those steps that everybody who is taking action against these religions, they've all been set on their path by the one that the world ignorantly calls Jehovah, but whose true Hebrew name is Yahweh. Okay, that's Hebrew for he is. right? You see, the Lord is now about to make his return upon the earth, right? And he's doing that first and foremost by bringing his truth back into the world, okay? And this is what the scripture talks about, is where it says, I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them. That's talking about us brothers out here who are actually, going through the scriptures, breaking it down and teaching the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the sheep, the flock of the Lord's pasture, okay? Now, besides that, the other thing that the scripture says, which is what I was going into, the Lord is going to ultimately turn upon all these pastors, all the wickedness that they've done. Now, ultimately, that's going to happen in the kingdom, right? When these devils go into, after they die and they get reborn into the kingdom, and they're going to basically pay for what they've done, right? The molestations, the corruptions, the lying, right? What does the scripture say, man? That if any man or any person, adds onto the word or removes from the word of the Bible, right? It tells you at the very end of the Bible, right? That the Lord would put these curses upon them. Well, all those curses are going to fall upon these pastors. Like people, just like in that video you just seen with Hillsong, right? If you know anything about Hillsong, it was basically just a club church, right? It was like that guy said in that video, right? It was cool church, right? It was a gimmick. And it was a gimmick just to get, as that lady said, $78 million tax-free, right? And that isn't the only people who benefit from this, right? Because when you look at just organized religion in general, man, these guys, all these people here are false prophets. And this is only a small sliver of the people out there who are out there with their, hands open for to fill their pockets with money, right? And to deceive people, right? Some of them are doing it because they truly believe that they have the truth. Other people like Oprah Winfrey, Deepak Chopra, Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, and even, unfortunately, people from within the Hebrew Israelite, truth, they themselves have sold out, man. They've sold out for that almighty dollar, right? Because this is back, a few years ago. I'm sure it's gone up even more. But look at the amount of money. $82.5 billion is what organized, man-made religion brings up, man. You see? And the thing is why is that? Well, because you see, there's a void in the world. There's a void of the truth, right? Because the Lord, for the most part, he hid himself. He hid himself from the world. And why was that? Because the Lord only deals with the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? And because he only deals with them, when he put us Israelites into captivity and he scattered us throughout the world and he hid himself from us, he was hidden from the world, okay? The truth was no longer being preached on a mass scale. And what happened? Well, you had devils like this guy here, man, the Pope, the Vatican. They were able to reign and come up in power, right? Along with these other religious leaders like the Dalai Lama, right? Which, ultimately it comes from other nations, or this Rajan Zed, the Hindu leader and stuff, right? All these people came in to fill that void, right? But what did they bring in to fill the void? Did they bring another word that the Lord shared with them? Did they bring, another truth that they found etched into the stone? No, they ultimately brought in to the world, right? The devices of men. Or the devices of Satan. They brought in their own doctrine, right? From false doctrine, from Egyptology, like you got the Kemet people, right? To the paganism, where the Vatican Church, for the most part, had reintroduced paganism in a new flavor, where it mixed it with what it referred to as Catholicism, right? And ultimately, that's why today, all the Christians, the Catholics, and for the most part, all the religions that derive from the Vatican Church are all practicing pagan religions, man. Right? You have people like the atheist movements, right? Which ultimately is a secular, blinded organization, you know, that they've come out with their own doctrine, believe that they have the truth, which obviously they don't. They're missing a big part of the picture. And you got people like this, man, the prosperity, you know, New Agers, right? Eckhart Tolle, Oprah Winfrey, you know, pushing the whole chakra and frequency, and you got to elevate your power, you know. And then you got the Islam sector, man. The Drew Ali and the Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, the Haile Selassie, and Ajin Chaudhry, right? All these people out here, man, thinking that they have the truth. But the thing is none of these people actually go through the Bible. They've all come through with their own religious doctrines. And again, so because of that, because these people who have come forward and basically preached abominations into the world, this is why the world is so messed up, right? And this is why you have things like Hillsong that have come up to mislead so many people, man, because people are looking for the truth, right? And unfortunately, not everybody's gonna find it, right? And why is that? Well, let's go and read why that is. This is Isaiah 30:9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which say unto the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. Get you out of the way, turn aside, out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. There you go. You see, that's ultimately what the people of the world, primarily the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans who are stuck in this world, this is ultimately their sentiments, right? This is what they want. They want these prosperity pimps, man. They want these pastors who are out there to tell them what they basically want. They want these spiritual yes men, right? They don't want to be confronted. They don't want to be, told the truth, right? Because the truth of the Bible, it's not pretty, people, right? The truth of the Bible is very austere, it's scary, and it's very harsh, right? And it's something that the whole world cannot swallow, and that's because the world is not meant for this, right? This truth is only meant for the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline, right? And why is that? Well, let's go and read that. This is Joel 2:27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, your power, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. Right? And when it says here, Israel, it's talking about the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? When you read the Bible, the truth of the Bible, the reason why they never really read the Bible in the church is because when you go through it, the Bible has always been and always will be about the Israelites, right? From the beginning, before we were even referred to as the Israelites, we were known as the children of God. Then we were referred to as the Hebrews, and so on and so on, until finally our forefather Jacob was renamed to Israel. Then from him came our 12 patriarch forefathers, right? The 12 sons of Israel, which we came out of, man, the 12 tribes of Israel, right? That would be, like I said, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is one of the harshest truths of the Bible, right? And this is why when they hear it, their brain does mental gymnastics, and they try to forget it. They try to reason. They try to do all these different things so that way they can, bind up their brain into a mental pretzel, right? So that way they can forget what they've heard, right? But the thing is that this is the truth. The truth is that the meek shall inherit the earth, right? And this is why us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we've been so downtrodden and so destroyed, and we all have the same oppression upon us, right? And we're now starting to wake up. And as we're waking up, the rest of the world is waking up. They're waking up not only to us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, us Israelites being the Israelites, but they're also waking up to religion being the sham that it is, right? And this is why, like it just said in that video, that people are leaving these churches, man, and because they're basically getting these false religions are being exposed, exposing Hillsong, the pedophile church that Justin Bieber made famous. Look at that, man. You see, and Justin Bieber, more likely, he's an Israelite, right? But he's a confusion of face Israelite, somebody whose father's lineage, you know, though his father may look white, but when you go back through his father's lineage, they're more likely is going to be a Negro, Latino, Native American in that bloodline, right? And which is where Justin Bieber gets his flavor from, man. Okay, now let's see, and I ain't gonna read this because this mostly just talks about Hillsong's fall from grace, right? But here, let's read this. The clips of Lent, which is that basically that famous pastor, the guy you seen shirtless with Justin Bieber, preaching both at Wave and Hillsong, which received significantly less circulation than the photos of his abs by non-churchgoers, are amusing to watch considering how ineloquent, aggressive, and unwelcoming he is on stage. Not to mention the ridiculously tight clothing, right? And you see, so this right here is what you refer to as a cult of personality. You see, just like the Pope, the Dalai Lama, Al Franken, you know, Nate Satan from the IUIC, Joel Osteen, TD Jakes, all these people, Oprah Winfrey, Haile Selassie, right? All these people create personas around them, right? And people follow them because they like the way they talk, they like the way they look, they like the jib of their talk. But the thing is none of these people are speaking the truth, right? Even those people here in the Hebrew Israelite corner, though they should be speaking the truth, they are actually spreading lies. Nathaniel says there's no RFID microchips coming, right? Also, it doesn't push the name of the true names of God and the Messiah, right? You had this guy here. His name was Tazadakia, right? He would basically said that he was the comforter that the Messiah was speaking about, right? And the Lord put this guy to death. This guy here, Yohanan, he's basically where do I start with this guy, man? He basically advocates violence, right? Basically arming ourselves and trying to come up against these devils. And not only that, but he says that that you should take these snake bites. You should that anal sex is okay. You can have sex with your wife or with your woman on Sabbath. And there's so many different things, man. There's so many things that this guy goes off on. But the problem is he is built a cult of personality around him, right? You got this guy here, Rakah from the GOCC. All right. The only reason this guy is famous is because he preaches a soft, delicate version of the truth, which is going off, man. First and foremost, he gives the wrong name. He says Ahaya is the name of the Most High, which is not. Ahaya is Hebrew for I am. That was the Most High referring to himself. So every time him and his followers say Ahaya, they're basically calling themselves God, right? It's a mockery to the name of the Lord, right? And you got this guy, Balu, Bakwash, right? Basically, this guy fell off. I don't know if he fell off or something, but for the most part, right? Same thing. He was a Mark of the Beast denier. And the thing is ultimately, I don't even see him anymore. I think he disappears in the winter and comes back in the warmer months. But for the most part, this guy's he's a false prophet too, right? So you see, the thing is ultimately, man, just like the Hillsong Church, you have a lot of man-made religion, which is starting to trip and stumble, right? And because of that, like I said, you're having people waking up to the truth of what a sham man-made religion is. And this is why, as you read here, right, from this NPR page, it says fewer than half of U.S. adults belong to a religious congregation, new poll shows. And this was back in March 2021, okay? It says fewer than half of the U.S. adults say they belong to a church, synagogue, or mosque, according to the new Gallup survey that highlights a dramatic trend away from religious affiliation in recent years amongst all age groups. A new Gallup poll published Monday indicates that the religious membership in the U.S. has fallen to just 47% amongst those surveyed, representing less than half of the adult population for the first time since Gallup began asking the question more than 80 years ago. And you got headlines like this that come from December of 2021, right? At the end of last year, basically, right? It says, millennials lead the shift away from organized religion as pandemic tests America's faith, right? And what are the key points? It says, a Pew Research Center surveyed just 29% of U.S. adults said they had no religious affiliation, an increase of 6% points from 2016. Millennials are leading the shift away from organized religion, according to the survey. More faith leaders are stepping up their outreach efforts from social media to revamp sermons to attract these younger adults. And it ain't gonna work, right? Because the thing is people have seen through the facade of religion, okay? And you gotta remember, man, if you're in this truth, if you're watching these videos, right, and you understand that you're a Hebrew Israelite, you understand that this isn't a religion, this is our heritage, right? This is our long lost heritage that we are finally waking up to, right? We're coming back to this, right? This is what existed before religion in the world existed, right? It was the heritage of the Israelites, okay? This is Matthews 15:9. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men, right? And that's ultimately what these man-made religions, including Christianity, is done, right? People like Vocab Malone, who are fighting tooth and nail to try to disprove the black Hebrew Israelites and all these, slanderous terms that they refer to us as, right? These people are fighting a losing battle. They've already lost and they don't realize it, man. They are rearranging chairs on the Titanic deck, man. It doesn't matter what they do. The Lord is not going to reinvent it, basically re-establish the religious houses, man. Catholicism, Christianity, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormonism, all these other man-made religions are all going to perish, right? And why is that? Well, because again, the truth is coming out. And now that the truth is coming out, it's spreading light upon the world. And when light is spread, the darkness fades, right? And these religions, they are darkness, right? And I'm going to show this to you real quick, what I'm talking about, right? Because you see, though Vocab Malone likes to push that whole love thing, really that love everybody spirit, that really is Satanism. That's a wicked doctrine, man, right? These guys want you to love pedophiles. They want you to love the people, the LGBT crew. They want you to do all these things, man. They want you to not rebuke people for being wicked. They want you to forgive the person for killing these people, man. You have people out there, man, who are forgiving the murderers of their brothers and sisters, right? Because it's what baby Jesus Christ would want, right? These people are ridiculous, man. They are drunk on doctrine of men, right? And that right there is ultimately what people are fleeing from, right? And why is that? Because that right there is veiled Satanism. Let's watch this.
Is that it allows us to make sense of our lives using language which isn't necessarily literal.
Religion has a place in a lot of our lives for many different reasons. It certainly has an important place in mine.
But new data reveals Christianity is on the decline in America. Nearly 1 in 3 people don't identify with any sort of religion.
In tonight's cover story, we're taking a closer look based on statistics on who's leading this shift towards a more secular society.
It's the dominant religion in the United States. But new data shows a growing number of people are leaving Christianity behind.
There is a reduction in religious identification and religious service attendance across the board.
FGCU Associate Professor of Philosophy, Dr. Landon Frim, is analyzing figures from the Pew Research Center. They show 63% of Americans now identify as Christian. That's down from 78% in 2007. Over that same time period, the number of people who do not identify with any particular religion increased from 16% to 29%. Dr. Frim says there's no single factor to explain the religious decline in America.
So the cause is clearly not simply sort of ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, or political. So it's a bit of a mystery.
While the secular shift is noticeable across all demographics, Frim says it's a bit more apparent among younger generations.
Millennials identify as non-believers and specifically as non-Christians at a far higher rate than do the so-called boomers.
The data isn't surprising to Nadia Dutchin.
So I think the younger generation, millennials, Gen Z, and younger are certainly, more comfortable with being religiously unaffiliated and identify themselves as nuns.
She's the new executive director of the American Humanist Association. It's an organization that fights for civil liberties and secular governments.
We're really committed to creating a society where people can really lean into doing good things without being religiously affiliated and making that movement more socially acceptable.
She says younger generations are looking for community outside the church.
I was one of those people for a very, very long time who was not affiliated with anybody and kind of felt untethered, if you will.
Now she's a part of the growing humanist population that believes you can do good without God.
It's really all-encompassing for really decent and good people who want to do good in the world.
As more people leave religion behind, Dr. Frim says churches need to refocus their messaging if they want to pull people back in.
If churches want to be relevant to an American population, they need to have a religion which speaks to people's daily experiences.
So, as you just seen in that video, not only did they show that there is a growing movement of people leaving the church, right, especially Christianity, which is what I was just talking about, right, but what they're doing is that they're moving into what they feel is simply just existing, right, being a humanist. But they don't realize that being a humanist is actually a Satanist, right? Let's read this. This is Satanism doesn't advocate violence. Satanism teaches individuals to focus on the self and allow others to be as they are, right? This belief ties into the fundamental Satanism notion that Satan rejected God in order to live free from his tyranny. Everyone who isn't infringing upon the freedoms of others should be free to do as they wish. Right? See, this is the lie of Satanism, okay? That Satanism is a good thing, right? These are the people who come from the Freemason doctrine that Satan himself was the one who freed humanity from God, right? They believe that God is the wicked one who enslaved humanity, right? See, these people, these Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, they understand that God is against them. Okay, they understand that when the Lord returns for his second coming, that he will destroy the Caucasian race, the Edomites, right? It's prophesied in the Bible. In fact, let's actually read it just so we could get that, as the apostles say, man, we could bring the receipts out on that. This is from the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. It says, Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures as the scene of great future judgments. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites who is not given any promise of mercy from God. Okay? And that would be your so-called Caucasian race, which is why they have come up with such these blasphemous doctrines, man. They're like Satanism and humanist. Okay? And just to show you, man, the reason why millennials especially are moving towards this trend is because these devils in power, these Edomites who run the music industry, run, for the most part, the media and all the systems of influence upon us, they have slowly, little by little, encroached the Satanist Luciferian doctrine upon the world, right? And what's happened is that the generation of now, the millennials and, the Gen Zers and, all the young kids now, they are now a product of this belief, man, of this doctrine, this hidden doctrine, right? Where they believe if they're simply just good people living on earth, that they themselves can be their own gods, right? They could do their own good. They themselves have turned into, it's basically followed veiled Christianity, or Satanism, excuse me. right? So let's read this guy here on the right. His name was Aleister Crowley, right? This guy here was one of the main figureheads in bringing Satanism into the general public, right? At least out of from, you know, occultist, you know, hidden, you know, portions of society, right? He actually brought it out and started teaching it, right? And from his teachings come a lot of things, right? In fact, this is one of his teachings. He says, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," right? And wherever we've heard that, right? Do as you will, right? Because that right there is or do as you will, as long as you don't hurt anybody. That's the Satanist credo. Okay, we've seen that famous picture of Jay-Z with it on his sweater, right? And look at this, right? A guy here, John Lennon, on the left, right? What does he say? The whole Beatles idea was to do what you want, do what thou wilt, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody, right? And why is this guy touting Satanism? Well, let's go and take a look real quick, right? Let's see why John Lennon of the famous Beatles, why he is reciting something that's so similar. Well, where's this image I'm trying to look for? There we go. This is why. Because the Beatles, and this is their, Sgt. Pepper's and the Lonely Heart Club record, right? Look at who they have up here. Aleister Crowley, right? And when you go into the music industry, it is rife with Satan worship. And along with that Satan worship, do you not think that they're actually pushing these Satanist doctrines and these veiled beliefs on people, man? You see, that's why Satanism is in the music, right? It's not there simply to offer these artists a way to defile their souls so that way they can sell out to the devil and become famous and rich. No, well, what are they doing? What are they doing for Satan, right? Well, they're basically leading the masses into Satanism, right? But they're calling it humanist. And another form of this of Satan working is that he's using these false religion leaders, these doctrines of men pushers, these prosperity pimps out there, man. Why do you think all these religions, all these organizations are being caught right now with all this wickedness, man, with all this corruption, the scandals, the pedophilia? Because you see, at their heart, they were a wicked organization, okay? Because ultimately they were started with a wicked, intent, right? To deceive the masses, right? Because though this little character here at the pulpit has a Bible in his hand, notice he doesn't even have it open, just like the most pastors out there, man, right? As Apostle Tahar and the other apostles say, man, if you want to trip up a Christian, just go into prophecy, right? And on that fact, you can simply just go into the Bible, man. These people don't know anything else other than John 3:16, right? And they don't even, and on top of that, they don't even understand the true teachings of that. But I just wanted to go over these articles, Akim. I wanted to show how Christianity and the other world religions are on the ropes. It's all basically being found out to be a fraud, and that's all because the truth is finally coming out. Right, so Kahala Yahweh Bashim Hashai for bringing this truth out and for exposing these devils and for bringing down these false doctrines. So, we're almost out of here, Akim. So, hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh Bashim Hashai, Bashim Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.